All right, if Trump's first term brought tariffs against other countries and triggering the farmers to lose a lot of business and to lose a lot of the farms, what ended up happening was there's a bunch of subsidies, like hundreds of millions of dollars in subsidies that went from the government to the farmers. Many of these farmers, it did not help. Many of these farmers actually had to sell their farms and go from there. When they sold their farms, there was one big corporation there to buy them all up. That big corporation was led by and run by none other than J.D. Vance. Now the farmers are looking at two different things, and speaking just from California in the perspective, on the return trip from the Revolution Washington World Tour, the last leg of the trip from Denver to home, was sitting next to a dairy farmer with four wonderful daughters that were coming back from a volleyball thing. Very, very Trumpian, very Trump fan. And we just had a nice conversation, open conversation. I told him about what I did in Revolution Washington and logic, not politics. And he was asking me questions. And I had asked him flat out, I said, how do you feel about the whole Trump turning on the spigots and draining those two reservoirs that the Central Valley relies on to get through our obnoxious summers of 110, 120 degrees? Not to mention fire season and everything else. And just as a reminder, Trump decided he was going to strong-arm Gavin Newsom, try to show power, and he basically released the water against everybody's begging and pleading in two very, very important strategic reservoirs. The purpose for these reservoirs was actually to aid the agriculture community in the Central Valley through the really, really harsh summers that we have every single year. You hear about the droughts and everything else. The problem is the droughts happen and the agriculture has to go anyway. So Donald Trump took that away from farmers, number one. So I wanted this gentleman's opinion on that. And he told me that Donald Trump was taking the advice of people who told him it would be all right. So Donald Trump was being naive and listened to the wrong people. And I asked this gentleman, I said, do you think that Donald Trump listens to anybody? And I pointed out the number of references DJT has made in the past of how he's the expert at anything. He knows more about drone technology than the people who create it. He knows more about terrorism than the generals. He knows more about blah, 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 blah. He knows, and he's a brain surgeon because his uncle was, and it's in his blood, which makes him smart. This is the C student who literally has problems reading, and that is proven and factual. So neither here nor there. So this gentleman came up with the excuse that he was taking the wrong advice and he was misled. Nothing to do with ego, anything. Okay, so I let that slide. So I asked him about the tariffs and what that is going to do. And he said, again, I think he's taking the wrong advice. So this is a diehard Trumper that is being directly affected in huge negative ways as a farmer, dairy farmer, and he also does pistachio, all these other types of things, but dairy is the number one. So he's being affected in every way, and he's still stuck that Donald Trump is not doing anything wrong, and other people are misleading him. So I was closing the conversation, and I said, well, he hires only the best people. We've established that. I mean, Pete Hegseth is awesome at what he does, and Pam Bondi, very sarcastically, and I think he read that because a little bit of New Jersey came out. And then I had discussed with him the information that is coming out on the newest tariffs that are being hit all over the world and what that is going to do in the face of all the farmers. I said, at what point will you look at Donald Trump as the one making these decisions? What will it take you? And he says, something more obvious. I said, would that be you losing your farm? And he said, God, I hope not. And I said, well, I pray that's not the case. And I said, what I ask you to do from here on out, when you get upset about something, research it 2 steps past what you already do. And when you find something that's inconsistent and not factual, don't let anything else coming out of that same source upset you. That's what I ask. That's what I ask all of you. We need to take the anger out of politics, and we need to stop making excuses for somebody who does not take anyone's advice, ever. That is him for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. That is who he is. He knows everything about everything. He will say it to you over and over. Get that through your head. And for those of us those of you who are still going out of your way as you're losing benefits as a veteran or as someone on Social Security or Medicare or whatever, as these things are being taken from you and you're still making excuses, just recognize we need you to help stop this. So whenever you want to recognize the facts, whenever you want to actually look at what's truly going on and not through nothing but a political lens, and you want to have an adult conversation about what's really happening in our world, as your 401ks and the stocks drop and all that, remember the stocks were what proved he was kicking ass first time. What's the excuse now? Recognize this is all him. It's him, and your belief in him put us all here. So the pain you're about to feel, if you're not feeling it already, it's going to get worse. But all of us who saw it coming, who have been preparing for this for 10 years, are already fighting back. So join us when you're ready to wake the fuck up. Until then, stop complaining, because we don't care anymore. You're going to learn your lesson your way. When it's loud enough that hits you in the face, and you're like, oh shit, they were right. And we'll say, we'll talk about that later. Let's stop this asshole. There's our focus. So unify, stand shoulder to shoulder, and recognize we are all in this together worldwide. No matter what color you are, no matter what creed you are, no matter what country you're from, this guy's messing with everybody. Can we learn that lesson and join forces, unify, and move on? We are a world family of all different colors. Smile, enjoy it. God bless.